So yes, aim of the descent is to get you down, but why don't we start descent immediately after we finish climb? So we finish climb, we can start direct. For example, Sharm el-Sheikh. Let's not talk Yekaterinburg. Let's talk Sharm el-Sheikh. We climb immediately. We can start descent, for example, because we are quite close already. But we still fly for like 40 minutes or so until we reach top of descent point. Why don't we start descent immediately?
I think it could be related with the fuel consumption and the also maybe the traffic, airspace traffic, maybe.
Traffic. We're talking about FMC now. FMC has no idea about traffic.
Well, then
so
fuel
yes,
FMC
yes, traffic.
Best.
Yeah.
Fuel economical.
But also yes, let's say altitude limits. For example, we cannot descend at this point because there are altitude limits. So that's right. So we're talking about economic way. And what's the most economic way to descend?
Idle thrust.
Idle thrust. So here's the thing that we do. Simply put, aim of the descent. So we need to get down to the ground, right? From our flight level. We need to follow speed and altitude restrictions if there are some en route, right? If there are, and we should do it as much as possible with thrust idle. So 3-degree path has nothing to do with descent path. Well, it is not. It has something to do, but there is no set degree of descent for VNAV. So VNAV tries to make it as economically profitable as possible. So trying to maintain idle thrust. And also, it's not about VNAV, it's about our performance. We should try to make it smooth. As like within limits, within reason, do not try to make it, do not put too much workload into it, but trying to make it smooth for passenger comfort. That's why, for example, for small altitude changes, you can use vertical speed. Right? Just because if they give you 2000, 2000, 2000, well, there is no use. There is no use to the level change or VNAV, edge VNAV, back to VNAV, back to there. So it's we do think about passenger comfort because we are passenger airlines. Okay, good. So we've discovered that this top of descent point is calculated for the most economically profitable descent with the speed. And by the way, what speed does it use?
FMC calculated speed.
Yes, according to your cost index. So you enter cost index. In our case, it's 38 in our company.
38.
Yes, and according to that cost index, FMC calculates the best speed it thinks. In our case, it's normally somewhere around 300, 296, 298, something, right? So it calculates you the descent path, right? What is this point?
That should be the top of descent.
Yes, it should be top of descent. And you start with your actual flight level, right?
From the cruise level, yes.
Cruise level, yeah. Let's say cruise flight level. Yeah, good. So what about this point? In airport where there are no limits, nothing. What is this point?
End of descent?
Yeah, where is?
Ground, runway.
No, normally in all airports, even if there are no limitations, the lowest altitude is always final approach point altitude.
Final approach.
Glide slope capture. Glide slope capture is always a mandatory. You have to final approach point or final approach fix, whatever. If it's a non-precision approach, you have to be there at this altitude. If there are no other limitations, as you descend here, for example, ATC gives you instruction to maintain altitude. What would you do?
Reduce the speed.
That's right. Good. So you're keeping conserving the energy.
Yeah, I'm going to high until the further instructions. So I will reduce the speed to make a time for me.
Yes, of course. If there is no speed, if there are no speed restrictions and ATC, you can always reduce your speed, and then
I can do it while I am in the VNAV with the speed intervention. Huh?
Yes, you can do it in. Yes, if you're in VNAV, you can do with speed intervention. If you're in level change, just reduce your speed. Okay.
Yeah. Is there any difference between the just pushing the speed intervention and the setting up the new speed, or doing it from the FMS target speed? You know, new speed.
If you set it yourself here, temporary, your descent path is still calculated according to your speed.
In the FMS.
In FMS, yes. Even if you change it here, your descent path is still estimated.
So actually, then that deviation bars will show me a wrong calculated path profile. Then,
because if you keep your, say your speed is 300 and you reduce to 240, and then you're trying to reach your path with the speed of 240, you will not be able to do that. Because if you keep your speed 240, because your path is much steeper because it has been calculated for speed 300, right? And that means higher vertical speed. So yeah, so we've established here you can increase your speed and dive. So you dive, you reach your you catch your VNAV path, you continue with it. If you desire to choose VNAV.
If it's for a short period of time, actually we can't know it before. Just hold the altitude.
Say if ATC reduces your speed, if ATC tells you in Antalya, for example, they give you a shortcut and you are on the path, not like doing all that stuff, but you are actually on the path and you are descending. They give you shortcut and also reduce your speed. In this case, you can put it into FMC for calculation, because in this case, your path would be calculated accordingly. But if, like here, you're just reduce your speed because they say, okay, keep it for 2 minutes, the traffic will pass, and I will give you a descent, right? So in this case, it's better to just set it in level change or speed intervention. Yeah, LT fault or speed intervention, whatever is more comfortable for you. You set speed intervention, you reduce your speed. As soon as they give you approach, you can push VNAV. By the way, if you push VNAV here, what will it give you?
VNAV speed.
That's right. It will give you retard, then arm, and VNAV speed. So and VNAV speed is also a tricky thing for guys. Sometimes they see VNAV, they think it's following the path, or they think it's gonna get to the path. No, it's not. If your speed is 240, it's not gonna get the path. So it's up to you. I flew with one first officer, experienced first officer. So he just pushes VNAV and waits, and he tells me such a phrase. He says, "See, he's not descending." Talking about aircraft. I'm like, what do you mean he's not doing anything? It's you. It's you who's doing the descent. He's just doing what you tell him to. If I take over now, he will be descending, you know, because I will be changing something, doing something. So yeah, it's important to know the where you're going and what your VNAV is planning for you. So here, this is the part where we don't have any altitude limits. But if we have some altitude limits on our route, our descent will be calculated accordingly. So first, he will maintain idle thrust until this. Then he will calculate from this to this. Then so it might get to a different kind of descent. So it will be not like we have it right now, smooth. If the limits is somewhere here. It will first calculate idle descent between these two. Yes. So it will first calculate until here, and then it will try to calculate the smoothest it can do, the smoothest descent it can do until final approach fix. And then it's not going to look same as it did. So,
yeah.
but I mean, first it descends a little more rapidly here. It calculates it, and then it says here, it is important that you always understand where your VNAV wants you. What's your next limit and how it takes you. If you use VNAV, you have to get it. You have to understand where it's taking you, because VNAV is a good thing. I always use VNAV. Not always, but most of the time.
But I have to also sure about the calculations, as you mentioned.
Yes.
So if the ATC says free speed, it means also the same as the no restriction, huh? No altitude constraint.
No,
and it's
free, no. If free speed means only speed.
It's not related with the altitude
no, free speed means free speed. Free altitude, no altitude restrictions means no altitude restrictions. So here we have what affects your profile. Let's say
wind. Wind.
Okay,
wind direction and the wind speed.
Wind, yes, actual wind. Also, the main one is the speed, right?
Yeah.
Your speed, because you might set you might set speed 280. You might set speed yourself, or there might be speed limits. Also, like as we talked today, altitude limitations, right? That's what alter your some things that alter your profile calculations. That your VNAV profile or yourself, if you calculate yourself, the same thing. It's the same thing. Wind, speed, altitude limits. Here's like 3 things that you should know in case of shortcut, or if you're, say, redivectored, right? That's the good, simple 3 rules. First, you should know your profile position, whether you're higher, lower, or in the profile. Always, you should know where you are. Doesn't matter what VNAV shows you. Sometimes, because VNAV in Antalya, a little spoiler here, right? At Hisar, flight level 250, it's about 184 miles to runway, right? So we're way lower than the profile, right? So you should still know your profile position. You should know your required vertical speed. What vertical speed that's basically your 3 points of your descent calculation. Know your position. What vertical speed do I need? What vertical speed can I do? That's it. And what vertical speed am I doing actually, right? Checking. So for profile control, let's talk about this as well, a little bit. So for profile control, there are 2 things, 2 options, right? First option, when you are in LNAV, right? And then when you're redivectored. So first, let's go with LNAV. So when you're in LNAV, the first thing you should do, which is, I know that it is hard for you because you don't have much experience, but anticipate shortcut. So, and because you don't have much experience, I suggest you learn that, information, try to learn this information during preparation. So start preparing earlier, check your standard arrival. If it's something, if it's a new airport for you, you can always ask captain or first officer, safety pilot, whoever had been there before. So you anticipate shortcut and think of your descent profile. For example, in Antalya, not necessarily you might follow this route, this descent profile, because it's 184 miles. And yes, ATC might tell you increase your rate of descent for shortcut. You can check your vertical speed required for shortcut, right? We talked about this. You told me about that. Other captains told you how to do this. I strongly recommend you set it every flight for you. And don't forget, if they change the runway, you have to change this. Normally, it shows you first limit point.
Yes.
And not correctly, because sometimes you have 170 or above, and or below, for example, I don't know, and it shows you what vertical speed to maintain to get there, to get to this point, flight level 170, which you will not do, right? You will not be doing that because your profile is different. So this part is just informative, just for you. So you put there whatever point you like. And I suggest you put final approach fix and the altitude you want to be at the final approach fix, right? The final approach fix altitude. And it will show you just a very important thing. It does not show you vertical speed according to your route. It shows you a direct vertical speed.
That point.
To that point. Yeah, directly to that point, straight, like this one. Like this one. Say you're here, and they give you, and you used to have a route like this, but they give you a shortcut to final approach point altitude, or some point before that, but not many turns, like almost straight, right?
But in any case, you suggest that final setting up there, the final approach point is the most convenient one.
Yes, because you always know your expected vertical speed if they give you directly to that point.
So I set up there the final approach point, for example, at 2000. How should I calculate my path? Am I high or am I low based on that final approach point or based on the progress page?
Here the thing is that you cannot know for sure whether or not they're gonna give you a shortcut, right? I would suggest you try to be ready for shortcut, and you can say this out loud if you want for the captain, so the captains know what you're doing. Say, for example, they give you a shortcut in Antalya to Alpha in the 700, and you expect that they might give you another shortcut, and you can say, Captain, I will descend a little more because maybe they will give us shortcut there. At this point, Captain might say, nah, they never give you a shortcut there. You might continue descent normally, and that will be okay.
How should I prepare myself and calculate the profile based on that expected shortcut? For example, for Alpha India 700.
Let's continue here. So you anticipate shortcut. You check your required vertical speed, right? So you entered, say, for runway 18 central, you entered softboat 3,400, and your vertical speed shows, I don't know, 2,500 feet per minute. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it a lot? Is it too little? What? That's the question. So you have to know your available speed here. Your vertical speed with which your aircraft will descend in clean configuration at idle thrust is approximately half of your ground speed. Ballpark, it's roughly. So you check your ground speed. For example, you're descending now, or you're far away on the route, and they get, okay, clear direct to softball, join arrival, as they do in runway 18 central, join final from very far away, and they descend you. And in this case, also nice to know the vertical speed that you need, right? So you know, for example, that and it shows you that for softball you need 2,000 feet per minute of vertical speed. You check your ground speed, not flight speed, not true air speed, not indicated air speed, ground speed, because wind matters. You check your ground speed, and you can estimate that without speed brakes, your vertical speed will be approximately half of your ground speed. So if your ground speed is 400, your expected vertical speed at idle thrust is 2,000. It can be less, it can be more, but generally somewhere around that. So you cannot be too precise with it. So and you check your vertical speed that you might have against the vertical speed that you need. So, for example, your it says 2,500, and you see that you have only 2,000, right, available. Because your ground speed is 400. You can check your half of your ground speed against your speed that you see on your descent page, and that would show you how you're doing. Because if it says that you need air speed of 2,600 feet per minute, and you're at ground speed 200, there is no way you're going to make it, because your ground speed 200 means your vertical speed is which? Expected vertical speed with idle thrust?
1,000.
1,000. That's all you get. Speed brakes, 10-15% maximum. It will not give you more. Maybe 10, 100, 1,000, 1,100. Okay, so basically, let's start with red vectoring. Okay, not start, but continue. It's more understandable. So you are somewhere out. You have no idea. You have no idea how to do. And sometimes, say in Sochi, they did things like this. They're vectoring you somewhere, and at some point they say, "Okay, when ready, turn final." How do you know when you're ready? You know, that's the way how you know when you're ready. You check your estimated vertical speed, right? So say
From the
it
ground
says
speed.
Estimated vertical speed from your descent page, and compare it with what you can. You check what you need on your descent page, and you check what you can on your ground speed.
Estimated vertical speed from descent page based on the final approach point, huh? You mean here?
Yes, this one.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you enter it,
ground speed divided by 2. It was roughly vertical speed, which I will use, the aircraft will use for the cleanups, up to cleanup speed, and compare it together. Huh?
Yes, compare it,
what
and
I have and what I need.
Yes, that's the two. What you have, what you need. This 1 to 3 rule is helpful in LNAV. When you are in LNAV, and you might see whether or not you are higher or lower, just roughly, because it is in no wind conditions. So this 1 to 3 rule is in no wind. If you have tailwind, you have to be lower. If you are tailwind, you have to be lower. If you have headwind, you might want to be higher if you want a low drag approach, right? So basically, for this one, you anticipate your maximum available vertical speed, half of the ground speed plus 10% if you're using speed brakes. So, but try to estimate that, okay, now my speed is good. Now my vertical speed equals my estimated cleanup speed. Now I can turn. And also you have some more altitude to lose during the turn, so you have a little margin, you know? So,
yeah, if there's a difference between required and the available vertical speed, comparing together, so I can manage it, increasing or reducing the air speed.
You can manage it, but also what I mean here is if they give you a shortcut, for example, at some point they vector you and then they go, okay, turn final. If you see that your required vertical speed is 1,800 and you're at speed 200, well, gear down. Or tell ATC that we need more time, you know, because this is too high. This is way too high. You have to anticipate that. So this is the point that many people do not use. I mean, the half of the ground speed, because this is helpful to understand capacity of your aircraft at this point in these wind conditions.
Is that the speed that ground speed divided by 2 that we said vertical speed, what the aircraft will do? When I push it to level change, actual level change uses the vertical speed roughly half of the ground speed. And I can compare that vertical speed with the, the vertical speed required on the descent page based on the fix I have put it into.
Yes, approximately. So here I'm descending, and my ground speed C is 362. I'm pushing level change here. So 362, 363, level change, and look at the vertical speed. So it goes into retard.
Increases.
Increases. 1,800. See?
Yeah.
So
approximate the same.
Yeah. It gets up a little bit. And a little trick that I will tell you is if you are using level change and it maintains your speed very low, vertical speed very low, sometimes 2 knots more can help. So, for example, it tries to maintain speed 250, but your actual speed is 251, and it's trying to get it, but not quite getting it, you know, to 250 to get back. 1 knot and your vertical speed increases dramatically. I have it here. Look, it's reducing the vertical speed. You cannot see the speed here actually because they're off that yoke, but see, I increased 253 on the top. Look on the top. See, now my speed is on the top 250.
Yes, I saw.
So, and my actual speed gets like 252, and it tries to reduce speed. See, it's reducing the vertical speed. It's reducing,
to keep
and
the speed.
Yes, to keep the speed. But for example, I don't want that. I want to keep my profile because, for example, I'm high. So I increase the speed. See, I said 253, only 1 knot, 2 knots, 3 knots, and immediately it increases back to 1,700. Only 2-3 knots can make a big difference sometimes. Because it can, at times, because of the wind conditions and stuff, it can keep this reducing. Yeah, losing your energy, you know, for the approach.
And it's also 5 knots plus or minus is within the limits.
Yes, no problem. Yeah, so you're within limits. You plus minus 5 knots, no problem. Yes.
For example, on this page, you see full procedure on the navigation display. And how are you calculating your path low or high on this situation?
In this situation, look, I have LOFLA 3000 in my descent page. Do you see LOFLA 3000?
Yeah, I saw it. Yes, LOFLA 3000. Yeah.
Yes, LOFLA 3000 is the set there, and down there is vertical speed 1,842, and my speed, ground speed, is 360. That means even if they give me straight direct to LOFLA, I will be fine.
So now ATC gave you a descent clearance to a certain altitude, and you are executing your planning, your vertical speed based on LOFLA.
For example, also it's important to follow the limits. Right?
Constraints.
If there are limits,
yes.
I have to lower the limits within the limits. If they don't give me below the limits, I actually was following the path for a while because this path is very low. I'm very low still. So I'm from this stage, I can go directly to LOFLA and be good. So
correction, if we are clear to descend for a certain flight level, starting when we are to this arrival procedure, and there is no instruction about the no constriction. Okay, so it's better to continue with the VNAV path. Sometimes, not necessarily. They might tell you expect shortcut. In your case, you might ask him. Also, good idea. I said, can we expect any shortcut today? If you see that, if you don't know that. But basically, you can, if you want to be on the safe side, you can descend in level change to the lowest constraint. Yes. Yeah.
And normally they don't give you below the constraint, so they give you 13,000, 11,000, and then you go, and then they give you less. So if you want to be ready for shortcuts, level change 13,000 and fly level flight. There is no
so
problem.
Actually,
with that.
then it's better to calculate it based on the shortcuts hereby. For example,
in this case, yes, it's always better to be ready for shortcuts. But for example,
LOFLA, but so then we have to pay attention for the constraints.
Yes, in my case, I can be somewhere in between. In your case, it's better to be closer to being ready for shortcut. But generally, I know when I can and when I cannot gain the path. I know it from experience. But basically, I do use ground speed rule. So I check the ground speed, I check the vertical speed. If you use these two, you will always know whether or not you're on the path in case of direct flight. And also, normally, direct flight is not from here and land. Normally, you go from here, direct flight. And you know that you will not go like this. So you will still have some more margin over there.
Yeah.
So this one
we can also check the constraints from the VSD, yeah.
That's one of the one of the parts that I recommend using always. I always fly like this. Always flight level, descent, climb. My VSD is always on. So
on that stage, I was actually checking my profile on the distance based on the progress page.
This one is also useful.
I do the full procedure, actually.
Yes, if you do, but it's useful to know whether if you use the full procedure, what vertical, where you are, you know.
So I usually start calculating whether I am on low on profile or high on profile from the progress page distance to the destination, but it contains full procedure.
Yes.
So if we get shortcut,
yes,
that's this distance will be renewed. For example, it will reduce. So
yeah,
I think so I can still calculate based on that distance. But why I shouldn't do this? Because my friend says, no, you don't have to look at this. You have to expect and calculate based on, for example, final approach point. So
because if you're using VNAV, it already does it for you. If you're using VNAV, it shows you exactly the profile to follow to do the full procedure. That is why it's a little useless, but it's nice to know how shallow your profile is, you know. And for example, you're getting high on the profile in Antalya. Some guys start extending speed breaks. I say, man, 150 nautical miles to go. I say, come on, it's and you're way lower. But VNAV estimated that this is the optimal path for fuel consumption, right? Considering all the restrictions, because it cannot maintain idle thrust in case of descent in Antalya. So it estimates the perfect, the optimal. You only know this distance and 1 to 3 rule as a reference, just a reference. It's for you to know that if you are, for example, on the profile of VNAV, but at distance, say 50 nautical miles, you're flight level 170. Are you higher, lower, or on the profile?
Approximate on profile. A little high.
Higher, 2,000 higher, right? But you are on the profile. Your profile says you're on the profile. You think to yourself, this is a steep profile. The profile of VNAV is steep. So I should keep that in mind, that speed reducing might be hard because this is steep profile. If, like in Antalya, you see that you are on the profile, but you are 150 miles to go and you are at flight level 200, okay, this is a very shallow profile. At the moment, I shouldn't be worried about this because this is very low profile. But also, like in Antalya, they give shortcuts. So you cross-check with your vertical speed. Okay, on the profile, I'm way too low. But according to the vertical speed, it says 3,500 direct to LOFLA. Well, it's too high. So I will not be able to fly direct LOFLA right away, right now. I will need to descend. And for example, if you expect shortcut, you might go and try to descend below the profile to be ready for shortcut.
For example, ATC gave us a speed restriction, speed 220. I was speed 250. Should I quickly respond to reduce the speed? I set up the 220, and can I wait to reduce the speed aircraft itself, or should I use direct the speed brake to reduce immediately?
I will ask this question to yourself. Now you're descending. You checked your vertical speed required, and your vertical speed required says 1,500 feet per minute. Your ground speed is 220. Your ground speed is 220.
Required was?
Required 1,500. Your ground speed 2,220, and ATC tells you reduce speed 180. What would you do? Let's just one by one. Your required speed 1,500. What is your cleanup speed at ground speed 220?
1,100.
1,100. So already.
So I need a little more actually vertical speed to add.
Yes, you need to add vertical speed to get, but you cannot add vertical speed because ATC tells you to reduce your speed.
Yes.
Right?
So
the thing is, when you reduce your speed, because you are tight on your approach, you need to help yourself with the drag devices, speed brakes, and the flap. No, first speed, always first speed brakes. First speed brakes, flaps later, right? And and in this case, you might need to help yourself with immediately reduce speed because you are tight, and you don't want to spend any time reducing speed, losing, because as you reduce speed, you are going higher, you know. But there's a different situation. Your required vertical speed is 500 feet per minute. Here, you don't need to hurry. You know, if your required vertical speed is 500 feet per minute, you can reduce without any drag devices. That's the difference. That's how I do it. So I do not immediately try to reduce speed if I'm lower than profile or if I'm good to go without it.
Depends on the situation. So checking with the required vertical speed and how far I am from the approach, for example, maybe.
Try using this vertical speed thing. Final approach fixed altitude, vertical speed required, and check against your available vertical speed, let's say, roughly. But understand that it's a rough calculation, but it's some point to put your feet on, you know, first, and then you will gain experience and you will start getting some stuff. But that's basically what I do. That's basically how I calculate it. So cross-check distance, like we've already discussed, right? General understanding. For general understanding, is my VNAV path shallow? Is my VNAV path steep? How am I doing? Is it going to be hard to reduce speed, or is it going to be easy to reduce speed? Something like that, right? And also try to establish expected profile as soon as possible. If you realize that you are higher, if, for example, ATC gives you expect shortcut, sometimes they give you expect shortcut, and ATC also know approximately when to give you approach. And the sooner you descend to the altitude, sometimes, the sooner they will give you the shortcut, you know? So if you are higher than profile, if you realize that you are higher than profile, try to establish it as soon as possible.
That low and high on profile, I have to calculate and expect actually based on the final approach point.
If you expect shortcut, yes. So normally, if you just, let's say, VNAV, if you use VNAV, if you're higher on VNAV, if you get higher on VNAV, and you know that you are higher on VNAV, because there are no, for example, in Orenburg, there are not many restrictions, and you just descend. If you are higher, you are higher. If VNAV says you are higher, you are higher. If you entered everything correctly, right, the descent forecast and everything, if all the correct all the entries are correct, you are higher. Do not try to wait. As the earlier you establish your expected profile, the smoother your rest of the flight is going to be. So you see, you hire, help with the speed breaks, establish, put it back, right? If you expect shortcut, if you fly there, if you've flown many times, say to Sharm el-Sheikh, and for example, and you know that you're going there and that he will turn you as soon as your altitude is enough, you can also descend and you can get ready for this. And for you at the moment, it's better to have a little margin. So it's better to go a little bit, couple of miles in a level flight, just to be on the safe side, to be sure. And the more you have, the more experience you have, the more you will try to get rid of this. And energy management, I can see that you remember that they keep you high, you reduce your speed. If there are no speed restrictions, because later on you will have to also. And if on the profile, for example, on the VNAV profile in Orenburg or somewhere else, if your speed starts dropping below and it increases thrust, what I do, I reduce speed intervention, I reduce the speed, because later on, because of the wind, it might increase. So my aim during descent, keeping idle as much as possible. So if it wants to increase, I reduce speed. But this is just my way of flying. There's nothing wrong in just following VNAV profile if it's correctly set and if you do not expect any shortcuts. Yeah. Okay. Basically, you need to know your profile. So I'm on VNAV, but sometimes I might expect shortcut. Sometimes, right? And that's why you might want to be ready for a shortcut. But runway 18 center is a little tricky because they get you quite close. They can get you quite close to the approach. And when they get you there, this vertical speed thing helps you a lot. Because normally they vector you. They vector you and they give you intercept final.
So we are putting the final approach point into the descent page to know our required vertical speed.
Okay.
But okay, we may expect shortcut, but that shortcut probably is not going to direct to final approach point. So in that case, actually, are we not calculating something low on profile?
A little bit lower for you,
but it makes safe. Actually, what I understood is that the high on profile is the most difficult part, especially on approach, to handle it. But a little bit lower on profile is what pilot can manage more easily comparing to high on profile.
Of course, a low profile is just fuel consuming. It's not time consuming. So you're okay, you're free to go. And many people choose a little lower on profile sometimes. Even experienced people, they descend earlier to be on the safe side. But I try to be as economically efficient as possible. But you come there with experience. I did not start flying like this from the very beginning. So yes, a little lower is good for you. A little lower is okay. Couple of thousand of feet of margin is good for you. So in case something unexpected
and at
for
the
you.
same time, when I'm using the level change or the vertical speed, that deviation bar, vertical deviation bar, is not no more reliable.
No, it's reliable. Why not?
Yeah,
it is reliable. It shows you the profile and it shows you your position according to the expected profile. So if you want to go lower, you go lower and say, okay, I'm 1,000 lower than profile. I'm good.
Whether I'm using the mode except VNAV, for example, it's same for the vertical speed and the level change. It's still reliable. But
yes,
do I have to renew the speed? Maybe there could be another speed on the FMS setting.
It is
in the level change.
It shows according to this. Yes. So your profile shows according to your expected speed that is an FMC. Your profile doesn't care about the speed that you're maintaining. It shows you how are you doing, higher or lower, according to your expected profile.
Sometimes I see their real numbers. For example, maybe due to speed, you know, the difference between the speed and the MCP set speed. I'll calculate myself based on 3-to-1, not too much difference, close to path. But I see on the deviation bar more than 10,000 below the path.
Normally, this one is because of the limitations. So let's keep in touch. Maybe we will get back again.
Okay.
For a short review of like practical side. So first of all, let's do a quick summary of what we're talking about. So first of all, and this is one of the important stuff, one of the important points of everything that we've talked. You should be ready for approach before it starts. If it might be, it's about time management. It might be that you're talking about something, discussing the system or anything, and you might ask captain, say, Captain, I want to start preparation for descent, say 30 minutes before the descent, so I have enough time. Or when you have free time while you fly, you can check the standard arrival. If you've been to Orenburg several times, and maybe according to the forecast you have checked that runway was 08 and getting ready, look through it. Look through runway 26 if you have time as well. So try to compensate your lack of experience by getting prepared more for that's the way you compensate for that, because I don't have to do this because I have experience. I know how to deal with that, how to deal with different situations, because I've been to these kinds of situations many times. You haven't been in these situations. That is why you have to be ready. And as soon as you get this thing done, so get your descent profile earlier before this. Well, for yourself, check it for yourself. You can check it from your from home. So you can. We will do it right now. We will see what to expect in Orenburg. So if you are prepared, it's going to be much better, much easier for you. So get ready for approach earlier, and request weather from ATC, no problem for you, because you need some time to prepare. Request weather from ATC, say request weather of Orenburg. Way earlier. I don't know, if you want earlier than 200 miles, 250, 300 miles, no problem. You can request weather, actual weather of Orenburg and runway news. They will give you that, and you can, according to the SOP, say, please prepare. Let's approach runway 08 for Orenburg. I don't know, flaps 40 to break 3. Captain prepares it for you, or you prepare it for training. But just know that normally pilot monitoring prepares your approach, right? But for your practice, it's better that you prepare yourself, right? So you prepare, you get ready, and during that setup and preparation, you can check whether shortcut is possible. So you can already make sure, okay, the route is like this. We can get a little shortcut. That means you might need some drag. You might need to, sometimes you can increase speed. If there are no speed restrictions, you can increase speed. Like, for example, your expected speed, descent speed is 280, 290. You set 320 with speed brakes, get down, then reduce again. So just dive to catch it. Some guys like to reduce the speed earlier, and then with drag devices and stuff to going at low speed. It's a matter of taste. Important thing is that if you know from the very beginning that they might give you a shortcut, you will be ready for it. So
expecting a shortcut is enough, expecting shortcut is enough, or we should expect exact the shortcut, for example, from direct to Oscar 104, or any kind of shortcut expecting.
You should get to you should try to understand yourself what can happen. so you open, let's just quickly go through summary, and then we will discuss specifically, say, about Orenburg. So the insert final approach fix and final approach fix altitude into the descent page for your, try to use this one for a while. Try to use this one and see if you like it. And start descent. Normally, almost always, I start descent with a VNAV path. So yeah, I start with a VNAV path, and keep energy management in mind when receiving ATC instructions. Like if they keep you high, you can always reduce your speed so you can gain it later, right? And cross-check 1, 2, 3 rule and required vertical speed and make adjustments accordingly. So if you're descending and if you feel that you're on the path and you're okay, and you do not need to, you do not expect any shortcut, that's okay. But sometimes at some airports, you've been to Orenburg, for example, many times, and you know that after this point they will give you straight direct to Oscar 104 or whatever the point is. So you might already start descending a little lower than profile if you know you are going to need it. So if from experience, from flying there many times, you know that mostly they go and give you a direct flight. So that one comes from experience, but also it comes from your preparation. If you've prepared and if you expect that they might, and also always remember that you can always say unable to shoot for shortcut, but if you're unable, it's better to be ready, but sometimes it's impossible. You know, they will say, hey, but generally ATC do not give you impossible shortcuts. They can see that you're way too high, but they can get you quite tight and a little bit higher because they know that sometimes people, well, that you can get there, but it will increase your workload. So you have to predict that. And like with your case, a good preparation for descent is going to help you with that. This one is important one. So always know where your VNAV is taking you. You should always know why your VNAV is doing what it's doing, right? We've discussed this one a little bit. So proper setup. You first of all, if you set up your VNAV, you check all speeds and altitude limits. You check that your transition is appropriate, because sometimes you can choose different transition, right? And the descent forecast is properly entered. So you should always know where your VNAV is taking you. It should not be a surprise to you. Right now, for you, it can be a little hard. That is why sometimes if you don't understand why it is so, this cross-check helps you to understand your approximate position. So actually for wind, you know, the rule for wind is 1 nautical mile, 10 knots.
Yes.
For reducing speed. So normally you need to reduce speed from 300 to 150. So normally it's 15 miles. But 1 to 3 rule with no wind is a rough estimate. Your vertical speed that shows is a little better against your ground speed vertical speed. And also understanding that, for example, if in Orenburg you are flying inbound of Oscar 104, whatever the point name is, yeah, here, let's see. For example, they gave you a shortcut in Orenburg, straight direct to Oscar 102, right? So in Orenburg, you can set Oscar 102 and 3,000 feet into this point. So,
inserting on the descent page Oscar 103
yes,
at 3,000.
At 3,000, yeah, 102. Oscar 102 at 3,000.
So I will see the required vertical speed on the descent page. If they will give me a direct to that point, I will know.
Yes. And if say you were from PMAM, from here, right? For runway, this one is 26. Yes, this one. So PMAM Oscar 104, Oscar 102. This one is almost straight. So your vertical speed required will be
not different too much.
Not different too much from the one that you're maintaining, because you don't have any shortcut. But for example, here for runway 26, if you go with PMAM 5 Bravo for Yankee, so you go here, here, and here, right?
Yes.
So, and if they give you shortcut to Oscar 112, it will be different.
Yeah, it will make.
This is not a very big shortcut. It's manageable. It will still get you 1,000, 2,000 feet above your above your altitude, but it's manageable. But you will know, for example, if you set this 0.3000, or if you set in case of other way. I don't have another runway. So you will set the opposite point, 105. I don't know what point is final there, altitude, and you will know that directly to this point, this vertical speed is required. But you will also know that normally you will not go directly to this point. You will still have a little more, a little margin. You know?
Yeah.
So, but you can still descend with this vertical speed to have this margin for yourself, you know. So, so as you're preparing for your approach in Orenburg, so you know that you have to get ready before descent starts, because this descent is going to be quite steep, because no limits, no nothing. So, idle thrust, straight descent. You can totally use VNAV here in Orenburg. You can totally use VNAV as a reference, because there are no limits. You can use VNAV as a reference, and if you want, you can use VNAV as a reference and use level change. And in level change descent, I don't know, 1,000 below VNAV path, 2,000 below VNAV path. So because there are no limits, and this 2,000 margin will give you time, because normally VNAV estimates quite a tight approach. You can do this with consent of the captain. I said, Captain, I will descend in level change a little bit below VNAV path, just to have myself a little margin. For you right now, it's good to have these margins. First, you have to get used to margins, then smoothly phase out of these margins and just use VNAV for this. But basically, in Orenburg, VNAV should be fine, because there are no other limits. And if there is a shortcut, this shortcut, I think, is easily manageable with speed break and maybe a little speed increase to get. But you have to know that if you increase speed above calculated, you have to go below the flight path and then reduce the speed, or continue using speed breaks to reduce the speed until the estimated speed. So when you're using VNAV, it's important that you're at the speed, not above the speed, because sometimes it might seem you're on the path and it says VNAV path and it says drag required. And what normally people do is just clear a message, you know, when drag required comes on. But, and it's fair enough, I do that as well. But I do that when I know that drag required, that I don't need it. Do you know when drag required message comes on?
When the actual speed exceeds the FMC speed above 10 knots.
Yes. When it goes above 10 knots, that's all it says. It says, okay, my speed is above 10 knots above your estimated speed. Okay, you're clear this message. And if you forget about this, it might get 20 knots above this speed. And then say your speed was supposed to be reduced to 250 and you're still maintaining that speed. You're on the path. And you might be 50 knots above the speed, and that's already a problem. So that's already a problem to reduce it later on. So when you're in VNAV, you might want to make sure that you're following exactly everything. And if you're not following exactly everything, there should be a reason for that. If you are below, because you want to be below. If your speed is higher, that's because, for example, you're capturing your profile from above. So all that. So basically, Orenburg is quite an easy airport to estimate descent because there is a VNAV that estimates descent. If you set up your descent forecasts and set the pressure in the descent forecast page and all that stuff, no problem. You descend in VNAV and you check your vertical speed just for your information. You check your vertical speed. For example, you check, okay, my estimated vertical speed required is like 2,000, 2,300. I'm descending 2,000, but I'm descending according to the route, and this is direct. That's why 300 is roughly okay. But if your required vertical speed is 5,000 and you're descending 3,000, you must make sure that your route is much longer, that you're going to be much longer, right? Because with the same route, with one, if your distance, say, you check your distance, you're at flight level, I don't know, 240, at 80 miles away from the airport. So 1 to 3, right? You're according to a progress page. Your expected vertical speed, estimated vertical speed, according to your direct to final, is 7,000 feet per minute. That would mean that maybe you are passing a beamlet and you need to do all that to according to your route, right? So you will not be able to right turn here. But in Orenburg, it's not going to be like this, most likely, because they might shortcut you here, and that's it. They do not even give you a shortcut here, right? In Orenburg, because you pass this point, I guess, initial fix. You pass it first.
So I can use here the VNAV path, but also to make sure it's better to, while I'm in VNAV path, from the descent page based on the final fix, comparing the current vertical speed.
I would suggest you to do that, to see how it works, to see how it changes, to see how when your speed is decreasing, your vertical speed required is also decreasing. So to get used to it, check distance, check your vertical speed required, and check your against your vertical speed that is on your ground speed available. So you will see that it is generally close to that. It can be different, of course.
If there is a difference, required vertical speed and the current one is there's a major difference between them. It's probably due to actually procedure. It should be,
absolutely, yes. And
like Antalya.
You should try to understand, not like Antalya, yes. You should try to understand why it is.
What's the reason for it?
What is the reason for this? There might be that you have entered runway 08 and you have changed for runway 26. So you would make sure, sometimes it happens like this. So you got, I'll tell you the story. I was in China. I was getting ready for approach earlier, and I entered runway and distance, and entered into this descent page. And I started descent, and I see that estimated descent is like 700 feet. And in China, they do make you descend way earlier, like in Antalya, always everywhere in China, they are descending early. So I'm descending smoothly, 1,000 feet per minute, maybe 700. And the vertical speed shows 700. So I'm descending. Then I can see that my VNAV path shows that I'm quite high, on the profile. I'm thinking, well, that should be some kind of restriction there. Maybe because of that it shows that I'm high, because, well, why would I descend? I say, well, no restriction. I'm like, I check 1-to-3 ratio, and I'm already high according to that as well. So I start descending. I start getting there, and later on, I realized that because I was preparing to the flight earlier, to descent earlier, and I was entering final approach fix for runway, say 01. And when you enter it, it gives you a choice of runways. And normally, the closest runway is on the top. And at the time that I was preparing for that, the closest runway was behind me. Behind me. So I entered the wrong runway 01 into this. So it was showing me distance not to the runway that is on my route, but to the runway that is behind me. So that's why because it was weird. It was like 700 feet per minute, and even slowly decreasing. 720, 7. It was quite a steep descent, but I got the aircraft there because I noticed it earlier. So it's always better to cross-check different parts of this one. And whenever you check the points, another mistake of my mistake was whenever you choose the point in this, and it gives you a choice of point, you should always confirm with your chart the coordinates. Always. Just make it a habit, because it might be like this at some point. That shows that complex is good, and when you're descending in VNAV, you have nothing to do. You're descending in VNAV. It takes care of everything. All you have to do is check and control it. And for you, it's very useful just to see, not always think, okay, VNAV is taking me there. Okay, what's my distance? Am I okay according to my distance? Yes. Am I okay according to my vertical speed? Oh, no. Why? Because I have the long route. And then if I'm not okay with according to my distance, I'm okay. According to my vertical speed, I'm also okay, right? But I'm somewhere not on the profile. Also route. Generally, it's either route or restrictions. So difference, normally either route or restrictions. Sometimes, for example, the restrictions is higher, so you have to pass this 170 or above, and you can check, by the way, whether or not you will be quite high on this restriction. If before on preparation you see restriction 170 or above, if you delete this restriction without executing, you will see the altitude that VNAV will calculate without restriction. And so, for example, if you delete it and check it, and it says flat level, you have to set it 170 or above, and it says flat level, I don't know, 140, that means you're going to have quite a steep descent after this point, because normally, if there were no restriction, VNAV would have calculated 140 on this point. Yeah. So, but we digress. So the basic thing is that those three things to control your descent, it is not, so I understand your concern. You're concerned that if there's a difference, what do I do? It's not necessarily anything that you do. It's just for you to know where you are. So, and think, okay, now if you are not, if you so at some point don't understand, you can ask captain or instructor, say, Captain, see, my estimated vertical speed is so high. I don't understand why. My required vertical speed for the right. And at this point, yes, he might say, hey, you entered runway 26, and you or for example, if you're flying inbound on this point, according to procedure, like this, let me show you here. If you're flying, say, for runway 08, is it 08? Yes, runway 08 approach, right? You're flying from here, and you expect some kind of a teardrop procedure there, right? And it shows you that, and you know you will have this teardrop procedure, for example, because in this airport you will not have any other, and it shows you you will pass this point, but it shows you that you will pass this point and you need a very high vertical speed, and you might get worried here, like, why is my vertical speed estimated so high? But once again, your route, because you do not start descent from here to there. From here, from this point, you start a teardrop procedure. So some more miles. That is why your vertical speed differs. Think about that stuff. Or common mistake is you expected on your pre-flight preparation, you expected runway 08, but they said, no, follow to runway 26. And runway 08 is straight in approach. It will show you very high vertical speed. And you're on your route, and your runway is far away, and you're thinking, well, why my vertical speed is so high? So there is always a reason. There is always a reason why it is, and very often people blindly follow VNAV. So VNAV, that's it. It takes care of me let it go. No, you should check it, because something might be different. Shortcut might be anticipated, or some restrictions might be missed or something. I don't know. Or just you might anticipate that after this point, well, I'm quite high, even though I'm on profile, like in Egypt, for example, as well. So even though you're on profile, you have to descend quite rapidly after they declare you because of the mountains. As you pass the mountain, same for runway 18 Central in Antalya. They keep you high and then you descend. In 18 Central in Antalya, the vertical speed is very useful. So you can see what vertical speed you need to maintain, and you can right away understand that I need gears, because if my expected vertical speed is 1,800, that's a lot. That means that I need my gear to go down, because otherwise I'm not going to get it. Because normally on approach, your speed is already like 200, and that means 1,000 is like 1,200 is maximum you can do. So you have to either extend your flaps, put your gear down, because when you extend your flaps, you reduce your speed and you reduce your required vertical speed as well, right? Also, VSD is very useful for that matter, because you can see where you will reach this one. If you have a glide slope capture from above, VSD is perfect. Glide slope capture from above procedure, you have to put the gear down and flaps to landing position, set 1,000 AGL, right? And set 1,500 feet per minute vertical speed. And with VSD, you don't have to wait. You can check directly. There are two brackets, amber bracket and the white bracket on VSD. Here, you see these brackets, 1 and 2. This one normally amber, this one normally white, but doesn't matter. So the first one is 1,000, the second one is 500. See, this one is your actual path. In case of in case of the vertical speed, if you set this vertical speed, you will have a dotted line, this line, not like this. It's going to look like this, like
a dashed line.
Yeah. Well, it's more dotted than dashed, but anyway, it's broken line like this. It will show where you will get with this vertical speed. And when you're trying to gain your path, for example, your aircraft is here, and your dashed line coming out of your process, your path here. That means that with vertical speed 1,500, you will reach your because you set 1,000 above ground level on your level. You will reach here. You will capture your path, right? And here is 1,000 feet. So I mean, this one means 1,000. This one means 500. So if you captured before this one, you're fine, because your flaps are 40 or 30 final flaps, gear down. If you capture it before, you're fine. If after you enter your vertical speed, say 1,500, and descend with this 1,500, your path, well, that's still good, right? See, it still crosses before this, but already very close. You should monitor your speed. If your speed is too high, you might be in trouble, right? But if you get further, say here, right? Not like this, straight. If you cross it here, that means that's it. You're not gonna get there, and you can go around from here. Cancel your immediately. You say, okay, guys, we need a circle or vectoring to gain, because we're not gonna make it, because 1,500 is maximum that we set for glide slope capture from
glide slope capture.
Yeah. So, and VSD is a very good tool to visualize your path. And on your approach to runway 1 at Central in Antalya, if you use VSD, it's going to be helpful. So you will know where you will capture your path, your slope, if you're trying to capture it. So as for Orenburg, for runway 08, it's quite easy because it's a straight-in approach. On straight-in approach, the thing is that if you want to go with the straight-in approach, you understand that it can be quite fast. Everything moves fast, and if your tailwind is higher than expected, you might need extra drag earlier. So you might get a little lower, but for that you will need level change, right? Because VNAV will not get you lower. So you can go level change, and you can estimate your vertical speed with your, control your vertical speed with your speed, right? Whenever. And you can still follow the path, but maybe a little below the path, just for this one.
What if I'm below the path? I used level change and a little bit, for example, 1000 below the path. And what if I select again VNAV? Is going to catch up the again path?
Yes. Yes. It will catch up the path again. So it will go level flight until it captures.
So then it doesn't make sense.
Yes, and you will be
again the VNAV.
If you were lower, and then go VNAV path, it will get you here and continue according to your VNAV procedure.
How can I make sure that I'm below the path, but reasonably below the path? From where actually can I assure?
Set something between 1000 and 2000 is okay for you. But once again, if your path is tight, if your path is like in Antalya, you don't need to get below this path, because this path is low enough. Okay, so look, I'm on the path, and I'm descending with vertical speed of 700 feet per minute, and I'm not getting below the path. See, it's 167 nautical miles, right? So it's quite far away, first of all. Secondly, my vertical speed is 1632 estimated, direct to Lofla. So 1632 is my estimated vertical speed, whereas my ground speed is 378. See, that means I can do almost 2000 feet per minute, 1900 feet per minute, and I need 1600. So at the moment I don't need to get below. But let me show you the spoiler alert in the end. So at this moment, I'm a beam Lofla. Almost. Not a beam, almost a beam Lofla. I'm almost on the path, a little bit higher. That's nothing, 220 now. But it's nothing here. 220 feet above, if you are somewhere at around 2000 feet, that's quite a bit already. So, but still, here. And for example, right now, if they ask me, hey, are you ready to fly direct to Lofla from this position? It's 2600 right now. See? And my ground speed is 250. So no way.
Yeah.
I might, but I don't want to. Because I might put gear down and everything, and the wings go there. Yeah. No, it's not going to be useful for me. Even if somebody is dying in there, 30 seconds is not going to change anything for them. But if I miss it, go around another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, no rush. And as I pass it, look, the required vertical speed reduces. 2, 3, 2, 2. See? So because I'm passing it, and it's calculating less and less and less and less. And when it gets lower enough, say 1400 is already good. I can turn. But I'm guessing I have already, yeah, that's the time we actually are going to turn. And in this case, actually, somewhere here at this point, I was actually starting to help myself with speed brakes, because I anticipated there were no traffic that I saw. I anticipated a shortcut from, say, this point to Lofla, a little, cut a little. So I decided to get a little lower than Profile, because I expected. But then at some point he says, okay, follow the procedure cleared for less approach. At this point, I understand that I'm not gonna get lower. I'm not gonna get shortcut, so I put it down. Even if he did, for example, if passing Lofla, a beam, I realized that it's gonna be tough for me, and they're gonna ask me, in Moscow they do sometimes, they say, if ready, turn direct to Zubha. If I'm not ready, I say, I will follow the route.
Okay, from here you did you understood that you are not getting any shortcut. Yes, you were in the level change.
Yeah,
but you understood you have to follow the procedure. Is
yeah,
it better to continue with from now on with the VNAV?
Actually, I was with level change, but for passenger comfort, good question. I will try to explain. So at some point, you're below your profile, right? And because you thought you would have shortcut, suddenly you didn't. So you have three options, right? Option one is to get back to VNAV path, right? Option two, set DS for smooth descent. And number three is descent and fly level, right? So those are three options that you have if you realize that, okay, I'm not going to get lower. So I do not do this. Me personally, I do not do this. If people do this, it's not against the rules. It's not forbidden to do this. But remember how your VNAV estimates your approach. All idle. So you've descended below this altitude already. So you're not saving any fuel, but by getting back to your VNAV path, right? So because you're still level flight, you're still doing level flight somewhere. And right now we are talking quite close to the runway. Like, I don't know, maybe within, let's say 20 miles. Like if within 20, 25 miles, if you're still high there, let's say more than 50 miles, 70 miles away, you can still get back on the path. Maybe flying level flight on flight level 250 is better than flying level flight on 3,000 feet, right? But if we're close there already, like I said, in my case, for example, we're already on approach. If you get back to VNAV, you lose your margin. You lose this margin for your approach procedures. And you don't want to lose this, because this loss is useless, because you do not gain anything. You do not get more fuel by that, because you're already close and low and still flying level flight. Flying level flight at 7,000 or 3,000 almost doesn't matter for a short amount of time, right? So you might either descend and fly level from there, or if it's very, say like this, if the vertical speed required is very small, I would rather descend and fly level. If it's like 200 feet per minute required, no use to fly 200 feet per minute. That's too shallow. And if the vertical speed is 700 to 1,000, I would set vertical speed for smooth descent. So I would set this vertical speed to try and capture the glide slope smoothly without all that, and reduce speed accordingly. But getting back on VNAV path at this point, in my opinion, is not useful, because you're not saving any fuel and you're losing your margin for your approach procedures, because you don't know what's going to happen if you're going to get rushed over there or something.
So I'm going to ask another question from the Orenburg Star. Okay, we passed PMAM, or we are approaching PMAM above flight level 070, and at the same time ATC gave us direct to initial approach, so Oscar 112. At this point, what I can do is, using level change, and comparing the required vertical speed, which I have already inserted on the descent page, and the current vertical speed, and planning the my path based on these calculations. Or I can still continue with the VNAV path, or start with the level change. Once I'm on the path, again continue with the VNAV path.
Both correct. Anything you like, because after you get this shortcut, your path will go below. If it gets below too much, so if you're much higher than the path, your VNAV will go into
VNAV speed.
VNAV speed, yes. It will go with VNAV speed, and in this case, you can use it as level change. So you can increase your speed, for example. You can help with the speed breaks. As soon as it gets to the path, it will automatically turn to VNAV path. In this case, you can reduce your speed and see, are your speed breaks helping enough to reduce your speed? So, but in this case, I can say that this shortcut is not very sharp. So mostly just speed breaks and a little more speed to dive.
In VNAV.
In VNAV. Speed will help, but you have to be sure that you're in VNAV speed and gaining this, and in VNAV speed make speed intervention, right? Increase speed, because say if your descent here, for example, is estimated, your path is estimated with speed 300, and you got shortcut, and your aircraft continues to maintain 300, you will not get there. You will continue just parallel to your path. Maybe with speed breaks might help a little. Sometimes speed breaks may help, and you have to check it by yourself. So if you can say on the VNAV, on the VNAV path point, and also your vertical speed is helpful. Your vertical speed point is helpful. In this case, in Orenburg, you can also see, okay, I'm close to this vertical speed. Maybe I will get there. But basically, you will see that your path indication, which is normally here, like this one, path indication, and you will see that the number will be decreasing, right? So you will see that your number is decreasing. That means you're getting there, and the rate. And you estimate the rate at which this number is decreasing. You say, okay, I'm 1,500, 1,300. Okay, I'm getting there. But for example, you look at there and you think, okay, this number is decreasing very slowly. You can increase your speed. Increase your speed up till 320, no problem. Not initially to 320, but if your speed is 300, you will have to increase to 320 to gain this one, unless your speed breaks help. If you're quite high, if you're still quite high, speed breaks might help, because you can hold them for longer period of time. If you're lower, speed breaks might not help much, because it's a short period, and also when you're lower, the difference in vertical speed is going to be less, because normally it's like we talked 10-15% of the of your vertical speed. So if your vertical speed is 2,000, 2,300, for example, and at high level, and you expect speed breaks, you might get as much as, I don't know, plus 300, plus 400 feet per minute. And each minute you gain another 400. But at low altitude, each minute you will gain just 100. So you will not gain much. So at lower, you might think about maybe reducing speed, extending flaps, gear down. But this is the part where you get at quite low altitude, you get quite higher than the quite well above the profile. It's hard. Normally, it's hard situation. We try to avoid situations like this. So we try to get. That's why I say here that try to establish expected profile as soon as possible. So as soon as you see that you are higher than the profile, like you said, you got a shortcut. The first thing you think about is energy management. Oh, I got a shortcut. I will need to descend. Extending speed breaks, looking, okay, I'm 1,500 above. So yes, if you get here, if you get shortcut, you need either drag or increase speed to dive, but once again, you need to increase speed enough to dive and then to decrease for speed to be decreased. So speed increases at lower altitudes already not useful. Speed increases work well at higher altitudes. So at higher altitudes, you increase speed, you dive because you have enough time. Once again, every minute you're gaining more and more altitude. So, and at high speeds, your vertical speed at high altitudes, your ground speed is high and your vertical speeds are higher. And you're gaining your difference between the vertical speed that you have and that you gain because of the speed increase is much higher than that you will get during approach. Yeah. So about Orenburg, it's not a big problem. It shouldn't be a big problem for descent. But why you have this situation? I mean, that it was very rushed. Maybe because it's quite a steep descent, steep approach. And while you're doing briefing, you're missing the descent because there are no limitations, and it's not Antalya when you can do briefing after HISAP. You shouldn't, but you still have a lot of time to do the briefing, even if you get shortcut, because it's still far away. So and that is why it's very important to be ready beforehand, to be ready always to be ready at your stage. I can say that you cannot afford doing briefing during descent, because in this case you lose the practice in descent calculations, because well, instructor has to give you the possibility to practice, but he also needs to bring the passengers to the ground on time. People descend in different ways, and I can understand it can be hard for you, but with instructors, that sometimes instructors might expect you to do something else, but you have your descent calculation. For example, you calculate descent yourself, and some people might not be comfortable with that, some instructors even, and they might tell you, okay, let's do that, and that might confuse you because you did not think of doing that. Say, for example, somewhere high at flight level 170, he would say, okay, let's extend the flaps. And you go, well, why so early? But because he can see that you're quite high, and me personally, I normally descend with high speed, dive, and then reduce speed. And some people, like I said, my friend, for example, we did have an airport in China where they always kept you high, and then you have to dive because and I always dove. I always did a dive and then reduce speed. And he said I would extend flaps and just smoothly descend with extended flaps. He said, like gear down flaps 15, I would descend from like flight level 150 or something. So and we would end up same, like same. We would end up landing stabilized. But I would do a high speed approach. He would do a drag approach, using all the drag available. And it's up to a person's taste. But basically, VNAV, especially like Orenburg or any other Russian airport for that matter, basically in Russian airports, you can pretty much predict what's going to happen. It's hard, like in Antalya, for example, because I understand that it might be hard for you. Do I descend? Do I not descend? Am I going to get shortcut or am I not going to get shortcut? And some people just follow the standard arrival and act accordingly. Like, okay, we get shortcut. Am I higher? Yes. Am I lower? No. Sometimes you get shortcut, you get lower because the limitation is deleted, and you don't have to follow the limitations. You get lower. For Antalya, it's a little bit harder than Russian airports, because in Russian airports, mostly except Moscow, I guess, other airports are not so busy, and basically you descend with the VNAV profile. For comparison, here is Antalya, right? So, like we said, here it's 184 nautical miles. Normally, the best you can get something like 700, and from here, anyway, you pass this point, and go like this. So, but normally, according to the altitudes they're giving you, you can expect. So you pass this mountain, you pass this point, then they go, okay, descend to like 7,000. Okay, then it might mean that you will get earlier. If they say, okay, maintain 11,000, you're good. You're going here, and then that means you will go the whole way. So according to what ATC gives you, you can also guess what he has planned for you. Like they gave us yesterday, for example, at the end, like descend 3,000. Okay, that means that's it. I'm in for approach. I'm descending for straight in approach, for approach right after 3,000. But sometimes even with that, they say, okay, then maintain opposite runway heading. Well, I cannot do anything about it. Well, I have to be ready to approach immediately. But if they vector me out, that's not my fault. That's not my miscalculation, because I cannot predict that he's giving me of a glide slope capture altitude and then do not follow me directly into the glide slope.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have these limitations as well. Here, 13,000, and normally up till here, 11,000, right? So normally they do not descend you below 11,000 before that because of this this mountain. And after you pass this mountain, then they give you descent. And depending on and from here, if you're 11,000 here, I don't think you're going to make it straight to the runway. So almost anyways, you go this side. But if they give you good descent, like descent to 7,000, no restriction, because here's a restriction, right, as well. So if they give you no restriction descent, then you might go level change, speed brakes, and get ready for shortcut. Yeah, sometimes when you come from this side, yes, sometimes when you come from this side, they descend you and they give you this altitude, and you can see that here's the mountain, and you're on this side, and yeah, they descend, but then they do turn you, but you do see that there's a mountain there.
Yeah,
and it's a very good thing to use VSD. VSD is very useful for that matter. Yeah. So but make sure that on this line your vertical speed is enough to reach, say, here is the final approach fix, and final approach fix altitude, and don't forget the speed, because yes, you will be able to reach final approach fix, final approach altitude at 200 knots. That's a little too high, you know. So maybe if it's too low, well, if it's not too low, it's okay. You will be able to. But if it's too low, like say in Orenburg, I guess as well, right? Yeah, it's it's 2,000, but it's also 400 AGL. So
you just have approximately 160.
Yeah, so you should be also in Orenburg. This one is important, that when you capture the glide slope, you should already be fully established. I mean, in full configuration, because you have only 500 feet left, and 500 feet is just enough to read the checklist. So you have to be fully configured at 1,500 to be able to read the checklist, and before 1,000 be stabilized with all the checklists done and everything. So this one thing, when you do intercept heading, when you're ready vectored, you do direct, say softball or whatever the point is here, right? So if you're getting ready vectored, let's say in Orenburg, you're getting ready vectored, and you said Oscar 102 intercept heading, yeah, extended center line, and then you look at VNAV, and normally you are way higher, because let's say you are somewhere here, right? And you set this line for yourself. So you can see where your landing, runway heading is, runway approach heading is. Your VNAV calculates your path as well, right? But your VNAV calculates your path as if you were here, a beam. So when you're a beam point, so you're here, and it calculates the path as if you were here, and that's why normally it shows really high. Your VNAV calculates your path along your route.
Yes.
But when you do your intercept heading, your extended center line, VNAV assumes that you are on that line. This one also might be confusing sometimes when you do intercept heading and VNAV shows your 5,000 above. Your VNAV thinks, I don't know where you are. I can only calculate along my route, and my route is this line, you know, and I can see that you're somewhere here because you're here. It calculates a beam and calculates as if you were here because it doesn't know how long away you are from this line. So when you're using intercept heading, extended center line, VNAV gets a little useless if you're not on this line. So you can choose, once again, you can use this vertical speed to check how high or how low you are.
For executing extended center line, does it make difference, or what difference, you know, using the final fix or the initial approach fix? You select that one, and again,
no, it doesn't matter. As long as this point is before you join this line, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
And also, if there are some limits above these points, altitude limits, they will be taken into account, those limits. And other than that, it doesn't matter. It just gives you a line. You can take this out of any point in any distance, any radial, you know. It doesn't, it's just that we use it for intercept heading for extended center line, because it's very useful to see it and to capture it, for example, for runway 1 at central here, right?
To make last example, like Orenburg for the Hisar, from top of descent, we are approaching to Hisar. Once we passed ATC, lead us direct to Alpha India 700 and descent 1000. At that time, so it's a shortcut, not big shortcut, but shortcut. One thing, same as what I can do is still in VNAV, so I can still continue on path.
Thing is that this path is going to keep you quite high, because Antalya is a tricky thing because right now the approach is long and you might not fly it the whole way, right? So that is why it's hard. So if you go to Hisar directly, you can see your profile. If you're below the profile, you might want to stay below the profile a little bit.
So while I'm on VNAV path, descending from Hisar, what's my actually reference for me to, am I on path or not?
Your required vertical speed on descent page has nothing to do with VNAV. Nada, nothing. So it just shows you vertical bearing. So what vertical speed you need to get to this point, to softball, from the point where you are. That's it. It just draws a line. That's it. It's just for your reference, approximately. Because say in here, see, you if they give, for example, if there were no mountains here, they might have given you from Hisar to softball. And in this case, this vertical speed would be the one that you need, because you will fly directly. But now you will fly from here to 700, and then this route, right? So you will need. Okay, let me ask you, which vertical speed will be higher? Vertical speed that VNAV will maintain on your path, or vertical speed that will be shown on the descent if you enter softball 3400? Which one would be higher?
Vertical speed direct to softball.
Yes, because it's direct and there is a route.
The planning, for the planning purposes, am I on high or below? Okay, I'm expecting shortcut, but I'm still on the VNAV path. So I'm on path, or should I plan my path just a little below based on the required vertical speeds on the final approach point?
How do you decide whether to have doner or chicken? It's doner or chicken, yeah. So it's the same thing. It's I cannot tell you what to do here, because it's for every person to decide. So somebody would like to descend earlier just in case they get shortcut. Other guys say, I don't want to descend earlier. I will descend according to the path. And if they try to give me shortcut, they will not try, because you will be a bit higher, and they might instruct you. ATC might give you a hint. Sometimes say, increase your vertical speed, increase your rate of descent for shortcut, for example. They might advise you sometimes, right? But like, there are two kind of guys, actually three kind of guys. I'm third kind of guy. So some guys will say, okay, I will maintain this vertical speed, because if they give me direct, let's not talk about Antalya, maybe some other place where there is the same, and then when they might give you straight to approach, right? And you descend, and if they don't give me, well, I will fly level, no problem. Second guy say, okay, I will descend according to the path. If they want me to do the shortcut, they will tell me. Okay, I try to be somewhere in the middle. So I try to get a little lower than the path, just in case, but not too low, so I do not fly for too long in the level. So this one is completely up to you. And in any way, in any ways, flying at vertical speeds less than, say, 600 feet is not useful. Just remember that. You should descend at least 600 feet, because otherwise ATC cannot, ATC can see, but TCAS will not see that you, the arrow, they will not see that you have an arrow. So like at least 600 feet per minute, you should descend. Yeah. Other than that, it's completely up to you. So whether to be ready for shortcut or just to follow the path. But what I personally do not get back on the path, because like I said, path gives you higher workload. Not this path. This path is very smooth. But I mean, generally, path with no restrictions give you quite a tight approach, right? So if you're already lower, why not let yourself work a little slower during approach? You know, leave this margin until your approach time. If we take all that we said in these two sessions in a couple of points, is that start your setup as soon as possible. Be ready before approach. That's extremely important for you, because by this you compensate your lack of experience by getting properly ready, right? And then this one, where is it? The small one. Yeah. Know your position, know what you want, know what you can do. That's it. And with situations like Antalya, it's a little hard because people do not like to not have precise answers. But this is the one. This is the one that you cannot give a precise answer to, because it's up to you. Yeah. How to do this? To be ready or to just follow the path. So 1 to 3 rule, and this vertical speed against the vertical speed you need is going to give you a better picture. Just try to look at there every flight and remember how it changes.
That's actually a tool for in case of kind of shortcut, huh?
Shortcut and vectors as well. Yeah, if they're vectoring you and you're thinking, okay, if they turn me now, am I ready? That's how you can check.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the for me reference in case of, you mean, radar.
In case of shortcut or radar vectors. Yeah, shortcut or radar vectors. That's the reference. Yeah.
I can check from there. Am I high or below? Okay.
İyi günler, iyi uçuşlar.
Çok teşekkürler.
Kolay gelsin.